Hello and welcome to another ZX81 video. This time I'm showing you a new game I'm working on. I've been working on for a few days. It's called Amidoh. Ami from Amidar and Doh from the frustrated grunt that Homer Simpson always makes. Probably a sound that a lot of the people who'll be playing this game will be making many times over. So without further ado, let's get into it. Oops. Let's have a look. Here you see the player starts at the bottom left as the X and has to go around filling in the boxes. Now, oops, I died there, so let's start again. It doesn't start the level from scratch every time you die, so that's one good thing it's got going for it. The enemies on the first screen, as you can see, are not particularly difficult to avoid. The AI, however, gets more intelligent as you go on from one level to the next. You also get more enemies. You can get a maximum of 6 on the later levels, and oops, they also speed up as well. So it does get quite frantic as you carry on. Let's see if we can fill this in and complete the level. Oh dear, only one life left. The enemies always restart at a random position every time, but it's usually well away from the player, so oops, just need that one bit to fill in, and we're on to the second level. So, oops. Yep. Still only 3 enemies. They're still relatively slow and fairly easy to outrun at the moment. The trick is on the easy levels is to not get yourself boxed in by 2 enemies. So let's just have another play of that and start off again on the first level. They're not bothering me too much, just keep well away from them, make sure I don't get into a bit of the screen where there are 2. That's the danger area, because they can trap you between 2 of them. Ooh, there we go. I've still got to put in all the niceties, the high score table, the menu. Oh, well, the collision detection isn't quite working there. I'll have to fix that. Let's see if we can do this screen. As you can see, it awards the player a different amount depending on the size of the box. So some of the large boxes will score you 300 points. Filling in a medium box, it'll be 200, and a small box will be 100. So that was 200 for that one, just 100 for that one. And now we're on to 4 enemies. This is where it starts to get a little bit more complicated, a little trickier. The AI is always improving bit by bit from one screen to the next, just a little bit more sophisticated. There are percentage tables, basically. That's how it all works. So how it makes its decision over which way to go next, whether it's going to track the player or whether it's just going to go off in a random direction. Ooh. Hopefully this is going to be fun to play. It's certainly fast enough. It's going to get challenging enough. Now they're starting to speed up a little bit now, the enemies are. Just a little bit faster. Again, there are tables of percentage values to determine how fast the enemies work, and it just increases the speed ever so slightly every single level. So, oh! How did I get away with that? Oh, the collision detection is broken. Yeah, I'm going to have a look at that. So anyway, that's Amidoh. I think we'll show you some code from the main loop now. Okay, so let's look at some of the code in Amidoh. This is the main loop, and I generally keep my main loops quite tidy. I farm everything out to subroutines. So the main loop is just a load of calls in a big loop, 1 or 2 checks in there, but not much more than that. So here we go, M loop. I'll just call it M loop, just a habit. First thing we're doing there is player collision detection. Then we check the controls, see if the player's going to move. More collision detection. Once the player's moved, then we come to the bit that does the display. We display the player first, display the enemies, and then we dump that from the back buffer onto the physical screen of the ZX81. That's done in the dump subroutine. I've shown you the dump subroutines for a couple of my earlier games in earlier videos. They're usually fairly similar, but with slight differences depending on the game, whether I'm scrolling it one way or another, or whether the screen's static, as it is in this one. Next, we've got the checks to see if the level's been completed or the player's been killed, and jump out of the main loop if that's the case. Then we erase the enemies, erase the player, because this is all done on the back buffer, so most of the time the enemies and the player aren't actually displayed in the buffer. They only need to be shown just before we dump the screen from the buffer to the physical screen. So then we move the enemies, get the characters that are displayed at the enemy positions. That's important so that when we come to delete the enemies, we redisplay the original character that was at that point before we displayed the enemy there. Then there's more player collision detection once we've moved the enemies, of course. Then we test the boxes to see if we've filled in any box. So if we need to fill in a box, if it's been completely painted around, that's done with the T-box subroutine. We do the pause, which is a quick delay, just waits for the I think there's a pause in there that it basically syncs with the screen so that everything's run at the same frame rate. And then basically I've got the return back to the main loop again. That's currently I'm testing to see if the space button has been pressed, and if it has, then it just exits the game, which I'll take that out for the final game. But that's all I've got in the main loop, as you can see. Very simple. Keep it simple, that's the best way. Guys, like, comment, share or subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I also have a Patreon account for those who want to support new Spectrum and ZX81 software development.